Morning. Today's video is me replacing the leaf springs on this golf cart. The cart had this is this old purple cart I've been kind of picking away at and getting fixed up. I got lithium battery put in, got the motor rebuilt. It runs. It doesn't stop yet. That's a different story. But it didn't have any rear suspension actually installed. So for the most part, other than a broken leaf spring, the rear end was not all the way connected to the rear axle. Rear end was not all the way connected to the cart. So it needed those leaf springs put in. It had one on the passenger side. It had been removed. The driver's side one was broken. It's kind of a long story as to why it even got in that state, but that's the state it was in, which is problematic. And you'll see why as we get into this video. I actually, this has been done for a little while now. I actually debated on whether or not to even make this video, or at least release this video. I made it, filmed it as I went through the process. I made a ton of mistakes. I did a ton of stuff wrong. But it got done. I tried to even go through and maybe edit out some of the mountain of mistakes, because I thought, well, that's not very, who cares? Who's gonna watch that? But then I remembered, that's not who I am, and that's not what this channel is. This is how to get stuff done, and sometimes how to get stuff done when you don't know what you're doing. That's me, most of the time. So my goal with this channel is to show you that you can do this work, right? You can get this done. Just get after it and make 17 mistakes and fix them. And yeah, it'll take you longer than you'd like, and it honestly sometimes may cost you a little more than you would like. But if you're motivated enough and you want it done, you can get it done, and you can do it yourself. And I want to show you how, at least to the best of my ability. So that's what this is. This is a video about a big dumb animal changing leaf springs badly, but ultimately getting them done. If nothing else, you want to keep watching the rest of this video to learn what not to do and avoid the same pitfalls that I fell into with this. Or if you want to stop here and go find a different video, but a bunch of other guys out there have videos about changing these leaf springs. It's not an uncommon task. So maybe you just want to skip to the next one. There may be one link down, down in the recommended stuff, either down here or on the side, depending on what device you're on, that YouTube gave you. You might find better information with one of those. It's a great sell job, isn't it? Do you really want to watch this video now? I'm sure you do. Follow me for more sales and marketing tips. Clearly don't follow me for golf cart tips. But if you want to watch, maybe a little entertained by my mistakes, maybe learn from them, well, stick around. Let's get after it. Gonna put in new rear leaf springs, and I got some heavy duty springs to replace the stock ones. This cart, I mentioned at the beginning, has when I first started working on this cart, that has a weird lift that I thought was a bit of a hack. I don't know much about these carts. Turns out it's actually fairly standard, kind of an older school budget lift called a Z lift, where they cut the frame and put a bracket in. It looks like a Z, hence the name, and it raises the entire cart up off the front suspension about the width of the frame, or height of the frame. So it's about a 2.5, 3-inch lift. And that allows you to keep your stock suspension in the front. And what apparently they do in the rear is they move the spring from being under the axle to being on top of the axle. And that raises the axle height, which is about the same. And you get that same 2.5 to 3-inch lift. At least that's what it appears, because the other cart that I had, these were mounted underneath, and this cart here, they're mounted on top with a different bracket. So I need to reuse these brackets because the U-bolts that come on the new kit aren't really going to serve the purpose they're designed to mount from the bottom. And at least I think so. So here's that setup here. Here's the bracket. There's a bracket just like this underneath, and they can sort of sandwich the axle in, and it has a rounded, maybe you can see it on that side, it's got a rounded plate that goes around the axle, and these mount to that. And then this becomes the shock, basically, mount down at the bottom. This is missing entirely, this whole bit here. So I'm not even going to use it and use the shocks. I'm just going to put springs in. And at some point, I'll probably have to weld a mount here if I want to put them back in, or even just to shore this up, because this is this would be the weight bearing for a rear seat. which I do have, or if in this case I'm just going to use a bed. But even still, that's what holds the weight. I don't think it's gonna be that big a deal. I don't plan to put real heavy stuff in it, but still, even if you wanted to just, you know, use the rear seat mount, this is gonna be a little more flexible than we would like. So I need something to put here. So we got to get these unbolted. I put some PB Blaster on them a couple days ago and let them soak. So we'll see if they come loose. It's pretty rusty. We'll have to clean them up. Probably throw a coat of flat black on them. Get that rust stopped. So I need to get these bolts out, a bolt in the front, and there's 2 in the back with a knuckle. What is that? That's a 9/16. Does that fit? Yep. Just get these metal sleeves on there, and they are just rusting on. Go. So the other one on the passenger side was too. It's like fused to the bracket, but it'll come loose. I got the other one loose. All right, so that's loose. Now we'll get the front undone here. Raise the cart up a little bit. So the weight of the cart is on the jack. Let me see the way. Maybe I need to drop it down a little bit. Yeah, that was it. Stuck on the sleeve like the other one is here. So let's get vice grips out. Go. Yeah, so that sleeve and this bolt were just fused together. This is just so corroded. So the new bushings for the new leaf springs will come with new sleeves. So I don't need those. I need that one. That one's missing already. Oh, that one's stuck on this one. I gotta get that loose. Clean these bolts up. I might just get new bolts because these are a mess. Ouch, that was my hand. So I will get new bolts, new hardware. Probably get stainless hardware, which is what I did on the other cart. There's also the bushings are pretty much fused in here. They're so old. They're just stuck. Look, they're coming out in chunks. But that's got to get all cleaned out. All right, that bolt. That bolt. And this plate that I have to salvage, and then the plate at the bottom is what's hooked to the brake cable. Well, anywhere this comes off here. It should come off here now. Yeah, that no work. So I'll get the wire brush out. Clean all this up. Oh, that wants to roll on me. I don't want it to roll. The way up here with the motor is on the top, so it wants to swivel down. I'm afraid that's going to pull on some wires that I don't want to pull on. So now that I don't have this locked in place with the spring, the axle's basically freely spinning because they're not connected at all. It does make me a smidgen nervous. Let me think about that for a second. I just put a jack stand down and let that rotate so the motor itself just rests on the jack stand. So now the weight is pushing down on that and this isn't going to go anywhere. So now, let's see if I can get this pin out and pull this brake cable off. There we go. Now, I can get this up here, get this retaining clip off. Yeah, this is one of those retaining rings. And this should then come off fairly easily. Okay, so I get that plate off the other shock, and then I'm going to degrease these and scuff them up or get them cleaned up, and we'll throw some black paint on them. This plate, and probably this bracket down here as well. Let's get these cleaned up. Probably go take them outside and do it. All right, I bought new bolts for the bushing ends, but I could not find 7/16 bolts this long. I could find 7/16 in like up to 3 inches, and same thing with metric. I couldn't find any metric. Like, I don't care. It doesn't bolt into anything as long as it has nuts that match, but I couldn't find anything. So I just decided to try to, as best I could, clean up what was here, and they cleaned up okay. If I spent more time on them, they probably would be better, but I just threw some WD-40 on it and let it soak for 20 minutes or so, and then wire brushed them a little bit. Not a lot, just to get everything like usable so the nut will thread on halfway decent. I didn't get this on camera earlier. The way this bottom bracket goes on, these are driver passenger side, so make sure you keep them together. And this goes with the hook down for the bracket for the cable to come in, and then it hooks into the brake caliper, brake drum back over here. And this sits at kind of an angle, as is this. So these on this plate, these bolts on the inside are the ones you're using. That one is where the shock would go, and then this just sits over top of that nut on top of the leaf spring. There's a hole in the bottom of the top plate on the axle here, and that will just sit in that hole, and that sits on top. I wasn't sure which to do first, mount it to the car first or mount it to the axle first. I decided to mount to the axle first because then I could use that to rotate the axle where I needed it, instead of trying to rotate the motor and keep it in place. Because remember, before that was wanting to rotate down with the sort of top heavy, and that would want to rotate on me trying to get these bigger bolts in. So I figured I'd do this first. Let me know if there's a better way to do this. I've never done it before. It's my first time working on one of these, so if there's a more seamless way to replace these, I am all ears. Put it on there. Why don't you want to thread on there? Well, it is barely long enough. I remember them being a little longer. Oh, you know what? The shock is thicker. Well, that's going to be a pain in the butt. So that's not going to work. The shock is thicker and there's not enough bolt. Okay, so I need to get bolts that'll fit through that hole. Just 7/16, and they need to be about maybe an inch, 3/4 of an inch longer. I think these are 5 inch. So I need 6 inch. Where the heck am I going to find those? All right, well, I guess I go digging. Well, that was fun. I had to go to a specialty store to get the bolts I needed because nobody carries them. Even that store didn't carry the same. They had 2 6.5s and 2 6 inch. So I got 2 of each. 6.5s are probably too long. Hopefully they're not. I mean, they're longer than they have to be. Hopefully they're not too long, because they're only threaded part way up, you know. That's what I was afraid of. it's not threaded up. The threads only go up so high, so these are going to be too long. So we'll get the other ones, and I guess I'll have to go back and get, I could put a bunch of washers on it as spacers. I've done worse hacks than that, but let's just get this one installed first. So this is the shorter, this is the 6. That should be okay. Let's go that way. All right, I will torque those later. Just want to snug them up. So there we go. All right, so shoot, do I throw a bunch of washers on these? I don't even have enough washers to put on these. I gotta take up about a ½ inch. That's a lot. Well, maybe a ¼ inch. Let's see what I can do here. I got a bunch of these washers. I got the original washers. Could reuse those. Yeah, I could do that. I think. I mean, it's a bit of a hack, but it'll work, right? Right. All right, let's feed this down in here. Bunch of washers on here. Now these are attached, so they need to go attached to the frames. I need the new bolts I bought for that and the bushings that came with the leaf springs. Alright, I gotta clean clean these holes out here. It's still got a chunk of bushing left in there. So I'm just gonna have to kind of tap it out of there, I guess, with a screwdriver, chisel, whatever you got. Let's get one in there. All right, that's gone. Oh, I'm an idiot. Forgot the sleeve. Dadgummit. So let's pull one side back off. Got our sleeve that goes on the inside. That's why these went in so well. Okay, let's try that one more again. With the sleeve and the bushing, put the bushing in there, which makes it a little harder to get in now, because now it won't compress quite as much, which is by design. Let's not put it all the way in. Let's put it part way in so it sticks out the other side. There we go. That way I can get it on the other end. Since I got it out, let's spray some lithium grease on there. Way too much. So we can make a nice big mess. It's pretty cool. Man, the front ones went in when I did the other cart. These front ones went in so much easier than this. It might still be, this isn't clean enough. There we go. Sorry, the camera died and I missed it, so I'll get you on the other one, but got this run through. I'm still having a hard time getting that bushing to go all the way in. I've run that down pretty tight, tighter than I'd like to, and it just doesn't want to go in there. So this I'm going to rotate down, back to here. I I should have put the bushings in the leaf springs before I mounted the leaf springs. Yep. So do that. So that's my first tip. Learn from that mistake. Because then you can lay it on the side, you can tap them in with a rubber mallet. It would have made my life exponentially easier. So I'm going to rotate this back where I was. Oh, let's raise it up just another notch here. This PB Blaster lithium grease comes out like gangbusters. I mean, just easy there. PB. Wait, well that part goes in a lot easier on this side. Yeah. And I've just been using a clamp on here to smush it together. All right, it works much better on the leaf spring, so that's not too bad. No harm, no foul on that one. This part here was bad. I think it's really just because the inside is so, it's got a little bit of corrosion in there. It's got a little bit of the leftover bushing in there. I do the same on the front. That one just smushed together nicely on its own. Well, everything's loose and down, let's go do the other side. Oh, you know what? They only give you enough bushings. Alright, mistake number 2. The bushings they give you are for the leaf springs, they're not for the cart. So I have some leftovers, let me try those. I have some polyurethane bushings into the other cart. So I will do that. Let's try these up here. Okay, this kit, this leaf spring kit only comes with the bushings for the springs. It doesn't come with the bushings that go on the cart side. I had some leftovers from an earlier cart project where I bought a whole bushing kit to do the front and rear, and that cart, that blue cart that I had, the rears had just recently been done. The bushings in the back were fairly new, so I didn't use them. So I happened to have some extras. I just held on to them, and that was probably handy that I did. So I'm gonna use those. Up here, and they're gonna go in pretty snug because they don't flex as much. It's one of the pros and cons. It's gonna be a little bit stiffer because they're poly, not rubber, but it'll also be a little bit heavier duty, I guess. Just got to get it started. There we go. And then once you get it started, it will go in. It's still a little bit difficult. Popping off to one side. There. Same thing. Give a little bit of lubricant on the back side because these were a little sticky before. I think I probably want to have, I didn't think about this before, and I should have. I want to have lock nuts on here, not because it's over tightened. These are not, these need to move freer than that. Because this is going to flex some, these nuts aren't going to hold. So they need to have lock nuts on there. So I'll have to go get some more lock nuts. I'm going to go ahead and get this installed, then I'll come back one by one and change the nuts on them, but I'll finish this job up first. And yeah, all right, let's get bushings in on the other side. So that way all that's done before we start locking it in. Something else we just remembered as I'm doing this, I forgot the body's not on. And I forgot about this. If you're doing this and if you have the option, do the next guy a favor here. I put this in backwards. That's the way it was, so that's the way I replaced it. And I forgot, if the body's on, that bag well, the footwell or whatever, sits down the back of that body, and that bolt will not come out this way. It'll hit the plastic. So you have to unbolt the rear body and lift the body up a little bit to get that bolt out. I have the body off, and so I totally forgot. So do the next guy a favor, flip that around. So I'm gonna do that right now. because that is a real pain in the butt. And it'll go out the other way. Why do they do that from the factory? I don't know. It'll go that way. So that way you just got to get the nut off from the other side. And the bolt can come all the way out. Oop, oop. Hands are slippery from that grease. So now I need to get the spring on the lower end and the bottom of these brackets, and at the front here on the frame of the cart. We're mostly done at that point, other than replacing all the nuts with better ones. Okay, so this is a little bit crooked here. Let's fix that. Where'd those bolts go? And here I am, losing stuff again, because that's what I do. This is a little twisted. Normally, when you would do these, you're not doing all of them at once, but since they weren't working, weren't really connected, I had to. Normally you would just do one at a time, that way things don't get all out of whack. Because now this is crooked, and so I've got to loosen this back up, and it's crooked this way, so I over tightened from this side and not tight enough on the back side of this bracket, and so it took the leaf spring and rotated it just a little bit, so this part is lower than this part, and these are not lining up now. I'll need to loosen this up so that I can get this aligned, and then I'll retighten that. Just a little. Let's see if I can rotate this a little bit. Enough? Yep, this is my second, or third, probably my third learn from my mistake moment. I'm running out of, I can't count that high. I made so many mistakes this one. Don't tighten everything all the way up. Like, don't torque it all down just yet. Just get everything bolted so it's not gonna flop around, but give yourself some wiggle room. So same thing here, like I'm not gonna over tighten that. I'll hang on, let's leave that a little bit loose, and then I'll just, you know, come back and over torque it later. There we go, let's get just about right. Let's see, let's raise that back up a little. And come from underneath. Here we go. Now, here's my little pry bar screwdriver. Just kind of try to mush that in there. There we go. I don't want to crawl under there. Please don't make me crawl under there. Fine. I can see the comments now. This is the worst install ever. Don't do anything this guy does. And you're right. You should really think carefully before you follow my lead on this one. Mercy. I feel like that was way harder than it should have been. Just gonna go on a limb there. Okay, so they're installed. So then I gotta do the other side. Gotta get lock nuts, but at least it's installed now. I'll go fight the other side. I'm sure you wanna watch that. I've watched enough of my mistakes today. I'll go do that and bring it back when I'm done. Okay, so after 2 trips to the store, I now have replaced all of the nuts on here with Lock nuts. Went to the store and got lock nuts. I bought the wrong size, about 5/16 instead of 3/8. Got them home, didn't work. Had to make a return trip to the store, so I eventually found what I needed. Look, I found my nuts! Got those installed here, you know, the top and bottom of this knuckle, and then up front on the frame as well. Reason being, and I don't know if it's as important in the frame part, but I just did it because I was in the process of doing all of them anyway. I think it's important back here because that allows that knuckle to rotate. You can't just torque them to get them tight because you've got this bushing here that sticks out. And that, like this is kind of a polyurethane, but that one's rubber. But either way, there's at least some measure of flexibility, so they just mush. So you have to tighten it so much that you mush out that bushing. And then there's too much friction. It won't move. It's pretty rigid. And I think I want that to move. I'm not positive, but I think so. And there were lock nuts on there when I took them off, so I just figured probably best to put them back on, and that way I can keep the nut from walking off. That was the other thing I thought. With it being flexible, it's going to flex. So as this mushes and you drive around, it's going to move and it's going to pull away from that nut, and then the nut will start to walk its way off. So I could put a lock washer on there and clamp it down, but even then I'm not sure that would hold. So the lock nut itself, I think, is the better way to go. I'm going to call this done. So I'm going to start putting this all back together because I had it kind of torn apart. Obviously this is a lot easier to do without the body on it. And if you can take the body off, I'd recommend it. It makes it a lot easier. It's nice and open. All right, I need to shore this back up. I said when I did this project to put this battery in, I just used some exterior screws. They're these flathead Torx head screws, which I did that so they wouldn't rust, but they also sit funny. I would rather do a pan head, so I took this all back off, and I'm gonna bolt it all back down again. So remount everything back in here with some stainless pan head screws, so those will sit flush. All that hardware in the back is all stainless. When I put this body back down and rebolt that back down, do the same thing, replace it all with stainless, just to, I think, to get a better longevity out of it. I don't know how long I'll have this cart, but keep these. This is the pin for the brake cable. I still have brakes to do on this. Those aren't working yet. At least they didn't seem like they were working. Screw this down. This cable goes here. We'll do get some zip ties. I think I'm actually just going to zip tie this right around this handle. Oh, the other one was this way. Let's go this way with it. And then that'll leave some room here for that step down controller, which I want to do. Actually thinking about putting in a 12 volt, like a cigarette lighter adapter in the dash as well. This macerator pump that I use for the camper to pump out the tanks. And I lug a little battery with me to get out there, which I could do here, just put the battery on the back, but I think it'd be cool to, it has a 12 volt plug, just plug it right into the cart and leverage the big battery that's already in here. That was a video for another day. Let's get this done. I don't love the big coil. And I actually considered cutting this off and putting a new end on it. Just have a shorter wire. I also don't love that it's going to be over that cooling fan. So I think I will just tie this off down to the side here. Whatever, just zip ties. If I don't like it, I'll clip them off and redo it. These are just some 1" by 10 panhead sheet metal screws. Straighten that out. That will bother my OCD. I know, it's hard. It may be hard for you to believe I actually have that. I clinically have it, but when stuff isn't straight, it does bother me. But given the janky stuff I do, you're probably thinking, really? That you care about? But yeah, I do. It's not that pretty, but it's better than it was. Really, to clean this off. It's pretty filthy. Groovy. Gotta get it off the dollies. Got the rear body put on, got the seat put on that. I didn't bolt this down, just set it down just so I could get the seat in and take it for a quick test drive. The Grape Ape here is a runner. Pulls hard. Not a lot of top end change, about 18 miles an hour, 17, 18. It was fluctuating back and forth with a, a GPS speedometer on my phone. But when it gets to 17 in a hurry, like it just boom. Now it doesn't have a seat back on it, doesn't have a roof on it, doesn't have a windshield on it, so it might be that it just feels faster than it is, but it feels fast and it's super sketch. The front end bushings and shocks and steering, tie rods, they're shot. That front end is all over the place, and moving the steering wheel, well, it's not real responsive, I would say. These knobby tires, not awesome. Probably going to change those. If I was, mudding around maybe, but for just tooling around the property and the grass and stuff, I'll probably put some turf tires on it. They're a bit obnoxious. The brakes are also a little sketch. It's barely a suggestion to stop this thing. So we got brakes, we got front end. I did that on that other cart as well. Did a whole redo of the front end. We'll do it again. It's not that hard. It's not that expensive. All total, since I already put rear springs in and I put new bushings in the back, I won't have to buy rear shocks and I don't have to buy rear bushings. Although I think the bushing kit comes with the rears anyway. But I can buy the front shocks, just this front set, and all of the tie rod ends and bushings and stuff in the front. Probably paint. I'm going to leave the front end off, and we'll probably paint that front end and clean that up a bit, and then we'll eventually put the front cowl on and repair that and paint that too. So we're going to just kind of pick away at this. I want to get the rear, what was the rear seat, there's no seat on it, put back on, because I actually want to use it right now, just use it as a bed. So anyway, I'm happy where we landed. Everything's working pretty good. The journey to get here was adventurous, I guess. Appreciate you sticking around this long if you did. It's kind of like I always say, I got it done. I may have got it done right. Maybe not done it the best way. And I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of comments talking about, you should do this, you should have done that, you need to do this. Like a whole bunch of people will tell you what to do. And most of you are probably right. But all I'll say is, I say to every one of those, it got done right and it works. So that's what matters. It doesn't matter if you did it right. Certainly doesn't matter what other people think is right. Do it how you got to do it and get it done. As always, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learned something out of this and that you can apply it to your project. Let me know what else. I'm not sure what to do with this, like paint, color. I got all kinds of different thoughts rolling through my head. It's a pretty blank slate. All options are kind of on the table, so I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.